Have you ever wondered how a single company can sell a super fancy watch for thousands of dollars and a simple budget one for just 10? Or, why some ads pop up and it feels like they were made just for you? Well, that's no accident. It's actually a really powerful strategy called STP, and believe me, it is the secret code behind pretty much all modern marketing. So let's break down how it works.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we are going to bust the myth of trying to sell to everyone. Then we'll walk through the 3 key steps of STP, how marketers slice up the entire market, how they choose their perfect target, and then the really cool part, how they work to own a tiny piece of that target's mind. And finally, we'll see why this whole process is just so critical for any business to succeed.
All right, let's dive right in with a really common but honestly a really dangerous idea in business. This belief that your customer is everyone. I mean, picture this. You've just invented something incredible. Your first thought, your natural impulse, is that every single person on this planet is a potential customer. You want to get on the rooftops and shout about it. You want to sell it to the entire world. It just seems logical, doesn't it?
But here's the thing. Trying to be everyone to everyone, it almost always means you end up being nothing to anyone. The hard reality is, the market isn't one giant group of people. No way. It's a collection of millions of individuals, and they all have their own unique needs, their own preferences, their own behaviors. So you've got to have a smarter approach.
And that smarter approach, it all starts with the very first letter in our framework, S, which stands for segmentation. This is the part where we start to bring a little bit of order to all that chaos. So, at its core, market segmentation is just this. It's the process of taking that big, messy, diverse market, what the experts call a heterogeneous market, and slicing it up into smaller, much more manageable groups where people share common traits. These are your homogeneous groups. And this image, it just nails the concept. Instead of trying to get the attention of that entire massive, noisy crowd all at once, you're breaking them up into smaller groups. Groups that are way more likely to actually listen to what you have to say. You're basically trading a megaphone for a meaningful conversation. So the big question is, how do marketers actually decide where to draw those lines? Well, it's not just random guesswork. They rely on 4 standard methods, or what they call bases, to create these segments. Let's take a look at each one. The first one, and probably the most straightforward, is geographic. This is all about grouping your customers based on where they live. I mean, think about it. A coffee shop is probably not going to sell as many piping hot lattes in sunny Florida as it will in chilly Alaska, right? They'll adjust what they're offering based on climate, or maybe whether a customer is in a packed city versus a quiet rural town. It's simple, but it's really effective. Next up, we've got demographic segmentation. This is probably the most common method you'll ever see. It's about grouping people by objective, statistical stuff like their age, their income, family size, or gender. And it's so popular for a really simple reason. What we need in life, and frankly, what we can afford, is often directly tied to these very factors.
Okay, and this is where it gets really cool. The watch company Titan is an absolute masterclass in this. Look, they don't just sell watches. They sell specific brands to very specific income segments. They've got the luxurious Arum line for the upper class, the durable Exacta for the middle class, and the super affordable Sonata for lower income groups. This isn't just about selling watches. It's a strategy to own the entire watch market in a country by understanding that the word value means something totally different to everyone. Third, we get a little deeper with psychographic segmentation. This one moves beyond just who people are and starts asking why they do the things they do. It's all about their lifestyle, their values, their personality. Are they an eco-conscious shopper, an adventure seeker, maybe a status-driven professional? This is where you segment based on mindset. And finally, number 4 is behavioral segmentation. This is all about grouping customers based on their actual actions. For example, when do they buy? Is it for a special occasion like a birthday or an everyday need? What benefit are they really looking for? Is it the lowest price or the highest quality? And what's their relationship with you? Are they a brand new user or a super loyal fan? This method is all about how they interact with the product itself. So, you've sliced and diced the market. But how do you know if you've actually created good segments? Well, marketers have a checklist for that. A truly useful segment has to be identifiable, it's got to be accessible, and substantial enough to actually make a profit. It also needs to be responsive to your marketing and, of course, measurable. If it doesn't tick all these boxes, it's probably not a segment worth going after.
Okay, so you've done the work. You've sliced the market into these neat, understandable groups. Now what? Well, now you have to choose. You can't go after everyone. And this brings us right to the T in STP, targeting. Targeting is that critical next step. It's where you look at all the segments you've created, you figure out which ones are the most attractive for your business, and then you decide which one, or maybe more than one, you're actually going to try and win over. This is a huge strategic decision. And there are a few core strategies here. You could go for single segment concentration and just focus all your energy on one specific niche, like a company that only makes high-end gear for mountain climbers. Or you could try product specialization, selling one great product to several different groups. Think of a software that sells its accounting tool to both small businesses and nonprofits. Then there's market specialization, where you serve one market with everything they could possibly need. And of course, if you're a massive company like Coca-Cola, you might just aim for full market coverage. Every one of these has its own risks and rewards.
And that brings us to the final, and you could argue the most important step of all, P for positioning. You've chosen your target. Now, how do you make sure they choose you?
Positioning is all about perception. It's the art and the science of designing your product so that it occupies a very clear, unique, and desirable place inside your customer's head. It's all about owning a piece of mental real estate. When you think safety, you probably think Volvo. When you think luxury, you think Rolex. That is killer positioning.
And this is a really helpful way to think about the difference. Segmentation and targeting are basically internal decisions. They're all about analyzing the market and choosing who you're going to serve. But positioning, that's external. That's about crafting the message and the brand identity that decides how that chosen group is going to see you, how they'll feel about you, and how they'll remember you. So let's bring this all together. Why in the world do we go through all this trouble? Well, it's because the STP model gives you a clear path, a roadmap, from the total chaos of a mass market to the beautiful clarity of a focused winning strategy. And the payoff is absolutely huge. By following this framework, you make sure you pick the right target. You make your marketing dollars work way more efficiently because you're not wasting money on people who were never going to buy from you anyway. You are forced to understand your customers deeply, which gives you a clear strategy to, as the source material says, divide the market and conquer it.
Ultimately, what the STP model really does is it transforms marketing. It stops being this vague, hopeful guessing game, and it becomes a much more structured, deliberate, and effective science.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. The next time an ad pops up on your phone or your TV, I want you to look past the shiny product for a second. Ask yourself those STP questions. Who did they slice out of the market? Who is the specific target they're aiming for? And what is the one specific idea they're trying to position in your mind? Because once you see it, trust me, you'll never look at marketing the same way again.